my background, I started off as a personal trainer and as a nutritionist. I then did biomedical science and was doing cancer research, and then did medicine and surgery and specialise in women's health and nutrition at the moment. So my area of specialty really is looking at nutritional medicine. And our body was made to heal. You know, given the right conditions, it will heal. And so when I'm with patients, I really try and impart that sense that given the right conditions, I promise you, your body will heal. You will be pain-free, your hormones will be rebalanced, you will lose the weight that you're hoping to lose, you will regain that vitality that you once thought that you had or never had, given the right conditions. And so that's a little bit of a taster today about sharing what those right conditions are that I've learnt from the study that I've done over the last 13, 14 years, and also with the patients that I've had the privilege to be able to share this with. So, all right, but first I thought I'd just start with something interesting. So did you know that the average life of a taste bud is in 10 to 30 days? Do you know that means you can beat a craving in 10 to 30 days? Your taste buds actually forget what something tastes like. Isn't that interesting? I think that's interesting. Our eyes are always the same size from birth, but our ears and our nose keep growing. I think that's quite interesting. So next time, have a look at Grandma. Have a look at her ears and her nose. They keep growing. I think that's fascinating. 300 million cells die every single minute, and as many are produced every single minute. Our bodies are amazing. Amazing. Our skin renews itself every 7 years, so you are a new person every 7 years is that magic number. Isn't that amazing? Magic number 7. Our average human will shed 20 kilograms of skin in a lifetime, hence the word bed bugs. And the average human heart will beat 3,000 million times in its lifetime. I think that's pretty cool. Just a few more. The average human will breathe, 23,000 times a day. And throughout our life, the amount of saliva we produce could fill 2 swimming pools. I think that's pretty great. The middle fingernail grows the fastest. Have you ever noticed it's the one that breaks all the time? Yeah. The liver has over 500 functions. I think that's pretty cool. It's an important organ. And the tooth is the only permanent structure in our body that doesn't have the ability to repair itself. So it's important to look after them because they can never come back. Even the brain, I'm sure Ian would have gone into this about neuroplasticity. Even if there's been a major trauma, be it emotional trauma or be it physical trauma, and so someone has claimed over a person, you'll never quite heal from this injury. That's not true. We're proving that with science. The body has an amazing ability to heal. Stroke victims can walk again. So it's called neuroplasticity. And I think that's important to know with our lives. Given the right conditions, no matter how far along a track of poor health you might be, your body can come back to a place where it was meant to be, given the right conditions. Time dependent, however long you've been unwell for, it might take a little bit of time, but given the right conditions, it will get back to its ultimate vitality. So I think that's cool. The next just little interesting thing, I think, we'll start with the interesting things and then I'll fly through the important things. No, just kidding. Venus versus Mars. Women blink twice as much as men. Women live on average 5 times longer. It's just to do with our hormones, or maybe God wanted us around a little bit longer. Sorry, Ian. Men actually start off as female but change into male in the womb, so we really are the superior sex. Men tend to process better with their left brain, whilst we can process equally both sides, so we can multitask. We're actually literally using both sides at once, whereas men have to use just one side at one time, so I think that's interesting. That's your excuse anyway. Women's language and emotion brain centres, they're much larger than men's. Men have stronger spatial, so men can parallel park a little bit better than we can, read maps. They don't want to ask for directions because they generally know their sense of direction, whereas we like to whinge and complain and call someone that we're lost, and we stop and we ask. So that's just our emotion centres. Men's brains are 15% bigger than women's, but obviously this has nothing to do with intelligence. And there's just a funny schematic about the difference between male and female brains. Obviously men have got a few car centres, sports centres, women centres, and we've got the emotional needs. I've got a shopping centre. Does anyone have a shopping centre in their brain? But anyway, just a funny thing. But we'll go to the next slide, and this is probably the most important part, and it's just a taste of just something important to share with you. Obviously, we mentioned that the tooth is the only permanent structure in the body that can't repair itself. So the body is always trying to retain this state of homeostasis, which is internal balance. It's a technical term, which means it's a constant state of flux. There's no stasis in the body. There's no balance as such. When you go one way, the body tries to tip it over and go the other way. So it's the same in life. If you eat too much on one day, the next day just eat a bit better. And that'll create a sense of balance. So don't beat yourself up for this day that you ate too much. The next day, just eat a little bit better, and that'll cancel out the day that you ate too much. So it's just about keeping your body in a constant state of rebalancing. It's called homeostasis. So I think that's interesting anyway. And it's important to keep in mind balance, non-judgmental, don't criticise yourself. We're all learning, we're all on this journey, and there's no such thing as perfect health or perfect balance. All right, the next slide. So there's 5 rights. So if you do 5 right things and don't focus on the wrong things that you do in terms of your health, just focus on 5 rights. Shannon already spoke about the right fluid, water. We're 60% water. 60% of our body is made of water. If we don't have water in our bodies, we get migraines, fatigue, joint aches, we can't sleep, we have problems losing weight, we accumulate fluid on our ankles. People often attribute these to too much water, but it's not enough water. Drink water and you'd be surprised at how much your appetite's satisfied, how much weight you can lose, and how much less fluid you can accumulate in your body. So it's very surprising, water. So just plain old simple water, you don't need to add anything to it. God created something that's calorie-free, that's fat-free, that's taste-free. It's water. That's what we were meant to drink. So just try and keep that in mind. Anyway, I'm sure you are. I see lots of water bowls around, so that's awesome. Okay, the right rest is really important. The right rest. I don't think we get enough sleep. I don't know about you. 7 to 9 hours is what's recommended. Does anyone get 7 to 9 hours a night? Yeah, so about maybe 20% of the audience. 7 to 9 hours is what we need. How do you know if you're not getting enough sleep? Imagine this. If you were in a quiet room for 5 minutes in a comfy chair, the lights were dim, how long would it take you to fall asleep? 2 minutes? If it takes you less than 20 minutes, you're not getting enough sleep. It should take you, on average, 20 minutes to fall asleep in a comfy chair during a day. If you were, dozing in the afternoon, if it takes you less than 2 minutes, not enough sleep at night. So just an interesting, it's called the chair test for whatever it's worth. But it's important, sleep. We only repair during sleep. So our bodies only repair during sleep. We lose the most weight we're ever going to lose during our sleep. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you won't be able to lose the weight that you're hoping to lose if that's one of your goals. So I think that's interesting. So the next one, the right fuel. Shannon spoke about the right fuel. I call them living foods versus dead foods, or sometimes foods versus everyday foods. Take the word bad and good out of your vocabulary, because if you eat a bad food, that means you're ultimately bad. That's a judgment on yourself. That means you're going to more likely binge on those foods. Take that out. Sometimes foods, everyday foods. Sometimes every day. Just keep that in mind. There's no good and bad foods, just sometimes and every day. Try and think 80-20 rule. 80% of my plate or 80% of my day should look quite healthy. 20%, the sometimes foods. 80%, the living foods or the healthy foods. 20%, the sometimes foods. That's a good balance. Your body can cope with that, I promise. So, and the next one, the right activity. The right activity. Any ideas of how much exercise everyone should be getting? Any ideas? Does anyone want to throw out a number? That's half an hour a day. Anyone else? 45? Do you know what? They actually don't know. Researchers made that up. It's true. Because if you think about it, our lives were never really designed to be the way they are now, are they? We spend a lot of time indoors, well, you and I do. And previously, we may have been, let's say 50 years, I'm not sure exactly if I'd like this lifestyle, but we would have been on a farm, we would have had thousands of kids floating around, we would have been cleaning and washing. And we didn't go out for a run, or we didn't go and, go for a swim necessarily. Our incidental activity was enough. That's the way we're designed. We're designed to move, but our incidental activity is enough. So they don't actually know now with our current lifestyles what's considered enough. All we know is energy out should equal energy in. Otherwise, we expand. Energy out versus energy in. So try and get more incidental activity. Often people say, I just don't have time to exercise. That's true. It is hard to find time to exercise when your life is full. It depends on values, I guess, but it also depends on what your day looks like. Just park a bit further away. Try and get that 10 10 minutes of extra, incidental activity out there, it makes a world of difference, I promise. 80% of weight loss, and I know I'm not focusing on weight loss today, but often that's in a lot of the back of our minds about weight because it's so focused on in our media and in our world. But 80% of weight loss is what we're putting in. It's not actually the energy that we're expending out, so it's what we're putting in. So just keep that in mind. We don't know how much exercise. Basically, that was a guess by insurance company statistics. So, but if you want to aim for half an hour a day, perfect. That actually would be a great goal if that's something that you could incorporate. So that's the right activity. The final thing, which is just a taster, obviously due to time, but the right thoughts. There's something called you're exercising already. There's something called the mind-body-spirit connection. The mind-body-spirit connection. Obviously, we know we're all connected. We're one being. And so there's some really good research out there. It's really quite fascinating that the way that we think affects how we feel, which affects our health. And the way we feel affects how we think. So it's all interrelated. We can't disconnect it. Obviously, we're in an earth suit. But the way we think affects how we feel, and the way we feel affects how we think. And so I think that's really interesting when we consider a concept. Think about how you felt, what your mood is like today. Think about how your mood is today. The studies have shown it's been connected to what you thought about yesterday. How you feel today is often related to how you thought yesterday. So what are you actually feeding yourself with? The amount of energy you have today depends on what you ate yesterday. So that's interesting, I think. So what you thought about affects your mood, and what you ate affects your energy yesterday. So I think that's quite interesting. So our lives are new, we've got daily cycles, we've always got another opportunity to improve tomorrow, today. So I think that's really cool. But there's one last thought, about this mind-body-spirit connection. But they've worked out that the ultimate state of peace in our minds, the ultimate state of peace, it's called alpha waves. And it's when our brain's basically functioning in a sailing boat, alpha wave type manner. And they've worked out that ultimate alpha waves occur when we're actually helping somebody else. So not even in our sleep, deepest sleep, do we achieve this level of alpha waves. So when we're helping somebody else, we get alpha waves. That's a sense of peace. When we're being creative, using our gifts and talents, being creative to help somebody else, that's even better. That's even deeper levels of alpha waves. I wonder if that's the peace that passes all human understanding. I think that's lovely. And so that's a final thought, And my last slide, which really looked at the Hope Diamond. Has anyone looked at the Hope Diamond or seen what the Hope Diamond is? Has anyone ever heard? It's a 45-carat diamond. 45 carat. It's one of a kind. It's valuable. It's unique. There's no other like it. It's valued at about 250 million, but they can't actually put a price on it, so it's in a museum. That's how valuable it is, and they don't want to sell it to anyone. Elizabeth Taylor had a replica of it. She couldn't even have the real thing with all her wealth and all her value. And so I guess my last thought is, if we place so much value on that, how much more should we place on ourselves? We're unique, we're valuable. There'll never be in the history of all time anyone like us, and there never will be again. And I think we're worth it. I think we're worth investing in ourselves.